Hey, thanks for being here. And
Thank you.
why not me? We're back. It's been a long time coming, a long time coming. A lot of life has happened, a lot of development, a lot of growth spiritually and mentally and physically. But we're back, and I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend right here who's with us. Uh,
Thanks for having me on, Kevin. I'm glad to be here with you.
this is the Josiah Davis, and his story is incredible. And our story of how we became friends and brothers is incredible and full of God's love. In short, I've been thinking through a lot of my future professionally, personally, and what I want to do with my life. And I've been thinking a lot about doing this entrepreneur business and making an impact for the kingdom. And one day I thought to myself, I know this guy Josiah, and he does business, and he's a man of character in a way that I'd like to be. If I could do anything entrepreneurial, I want to do it like Josiah, because I've seen the way that you have developed people. You have propped up people to succeed and change their lives. You've built businesses that are places for faith and community without people knowing about it, and you do it with a smile, and you're always serving. I always see you at Local Lion, at Venture. You're doing your thing. So it was such a cool opportunity to be able to approach you one day at Local Line and say, hey, can I have coffee with you? And can you mentor me? And here we are, sometime down the road. Josiah has been changing the game, teaching me a lot, and we've got some big things coming. So I'm so excited to have you, Josiah. Who are you?
Who am I? Man, thank you for having me on Why Not Me. And yeah, it was really special to just be roasting coffee as we do, and just over the roasting, drinking some coffee, and you came up and we started sharing coffees and started having conversations. And man, a lot of inspiration and good ideas have happened. Who am I? When I was a child, 8 years old, if you'd asked me what I was going to be, I would have said an author. And then
Not a coffee guy.
not a coffee guy, no. And then from there, I had this moment in college where I was still kind of thinking that, but you start to hit in college, like, what are you going to do with your life? And I remember thinking through, am I going to be an author? Am I going to write? And I kind of realized I didn't have anything to say, actually. And that I kind of saw like a lack of like experience, knowledge, wisdom in myself to write. And I saw this. I remember distinctly walking across campus. Sunlight was shining through this tree, just dappled all over the ground, just beautiful. And I thought, I'm going to go and write stories in my life. I'm going to go live experiences. Like,
Oh, wow.
It was like I'm going to go find the adventure and not write on the, instead of sitting with a paper and a pen, I'm going to go live, basically.
So you had this moment of like, yeah, I don't have the word to say yet.
I don't have the words to say
But
yet.
I'm going to live a life in line with whatever that you decided to live with, and I'm going to make a difference. Did you know God? And what was that?
Yeah, I was walking with the Lord at that point, and had really turned my heart to Him. And I had just gotten back from some adventures in Alaska, working on fishing boats, and come back to Boone, which is where I'm from, and was going to start, trying to find my way. And so that was a big decision to kind of like not do what I thought I was going to do my whole life before, which was write, and instead, and then I ended up, declaring a major in history and studying, and a bunch of stuff happened. A lot of life happened. I still wasn't thinking business at all. I was thinking more missional, more teaching, kind of like direction in life, and ended up shifting into business many years later. And along the way in business, I have this distinct memory of being at this wonderful lady's farm. My family was camping on her land, and I remember walking with my daughter and having this idea of like, when I write a business plan, write a story. So write business plans as stories.
Whoa.
And so that sort of like kind of came back around, this thought of like, what's the story? And so that's what I kind of did, was in business. I started thinking about business as story. And that is, I think who I am is someone who is in the business world. But I think about it in terms of like, what's the adventure, what's the story that we're writing with our lives, and the creativity is creating a business, creating something in a town, shaping a town, having the community, hearing other people's stories, and so I think that's what I do.
That is deep. It almost sounds like you're saying that, all right, I'm gonna create the content of the story within people's lives and my lives, and then we'll write about it later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really cool. Fishing boat in Alaska. How did you end up there?
It was just an idea. I mean, I remember I was in a coffee shop on campus. Before I was in school, I was just on the coffee shop, and I just said to my friend, I was like, I want to go have an adventure. I want to go to Alaska and work on fishing boats. And then I did. And it was kind of a gap year, I guess. It was like instead of college, like I took off and went to Alaska. And it was I was 18. I turned 19 out there. And I can't think of a better way at that point in my life to have kind of crossed that threshold from child to man.
That's incredible. That totally makes sense with who I know you to be. Someone who would just say, I'm going to Alaska to learn how to be a man. That's on fishing boats in Alaska. I'm sure that was not easy. So tell me, what was your experience like? Did you learn? What were like key things that you learned? What you take away from that? You think about those Alaska days. You say, man, thank God for those Alaska days because I learned this lesson.
Alaska. So I had been in rebellion in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I had been partying a lot, and I had given my life to the Lord, and so going to Alaska was a fresh start physically. Like I left all my community behind. I'm just alone. I'm a kid out in Alaska, and I had sort of a chance to redefine myself, especially at that age, and to think about who I was. And so for me, Alaska was kind of a holy time, a time of like establishing my life. And it was so beautiful. Also, there's the inspiration of the water and the mountains and the scenery and the eagles and the whales. And it's just like that beauty was like inspiring me to love God, to live a life that loves God. And I had some spiritual moments while I was there that stay with me. I worked hard, and hard work stays with you, and it was a beautiful time.
Yeah, I could imagine that was some pretty hard work. Would you say that like your work ethic, was that developed in Alaska, or did you already have that? Were you innately this guy who was like, I'm going to outwork everybody and I'm going to go for gold?
Work ethic, I think that probably comes from my dad. He set an example of hard work in my life, and I'm the oldest of 5 kids. There was a lot of kids, so that's a big job in itself. And yeah, I think I just saw him working hard, set an example for me. I think that's where it comes from. I've noticed as an employer, work ethic is not something that is easily taught. Mm-mm. It's something you kind of bring with you or you don't bring with you. And I think it's kind of more of those formative years when you're younger where, but that being said, like Alaska was certainly good for it. I mean, it definitely worked some laziness out of me. Just being confronted with hard work at that age, it definitely sharpened it and strengthened it.
I bet that you walked away with this incredible sense of discipline and self-accountability. I'm just thinking, like, if I were in your shoes in Alaska on a boat and I'm, 19 years old with no family nearby, it's on you, sink or swim. And there is no time to feel sorry for yourself. There is no time to not want to get up. There is no time to say, not today. You have to get up. You have to get to work. You have to make it happen.
Also, freedom and empowerment. I mean, becoming independent. Yeah, there's the foundations of that, like, in discipline, like you're talking about. But what that did was like, it was empowering. It's like, oh, I can go on an adventure. I can earn money. I can work hard. It kind of opened up the feeling of a possible future. Like, what can I go do? I just did that. What can I go do? So it kind of was more like I came back from there feeling refreshed and empowered, I think.
So you almost sat down and said, yeah, I'm going to go to Alaska and make it work. Why not me? And then you went to Alaska and you learned all these lessons. Like, you know what? I am pretty accountable. I am pretty disciplined. I am pretty responsible. Therefore, I'm free and I could do whatever I want. why not me? And here you are, constantly saying, let's go conquer mountains. Why not me? That's incredible, man. That's a really cool story. Did you have any like role models or people you looked up to that kind of helped shape you or motivate you in your life when you were growing up?
Growing up, I would say my dad, my mom, good parents. I think the role, I haven't really had many mentors in my life, but other than there's an author who I read his book when I was maybe 20, and it was very impactful. And I've read everything he's written, I think, probably. And I think he has influenced me more than anyone else. His name is Richard Wurmbrand. He is such a remarkable human, and what he suffered and who he was through his suffering was transformative for me. I would say he has, if anybody has affected me spiritually or my direction in life, it'd be Richard Wurmbrand for sure.
Have you ever met him?
No, he passed away. I don't remember when, maybe 2001. He was a Romanian Jew who became a Lutheran. So he basically was ostracized by the Jewish community. But he was also a Jew in Romania when the Nazis came to power. So he was ostracized by the Nazis, of course. And then also the church didn't, in Romania, the Orthodox Church ostracized Jews. So he was basically ostracized by everybody and suffered. And then the communists came to power, and they persecuted him intensely for his faith. So he was put into prison for 14 years, 2 7-year terms. And he suffered, like, it's diabolical what they did to him. And instead of coming out of prison in intense suffering that is difficult to comprehend, instead of coming out from that suffering a broken man, he came out a bright, brilliant light with a way of speaking, writing, thinking. He spoke many languages, and that just came from this of like overcoming love and deep understanding that is so remarkable. As he left and came to the West, he went to Ceausescu, which was the Romanian dictators was sort of the figurehead of all the suffering that he had endured. He went to his grave and put a flower on it and said, "I forgive you." And then he came to the West, anyway, his writings are just so deep, and they really have meant a lot to me.
Whoa, that sounds. I have 1,000 questions. Do you have give me like a quote or a passage that you've kept with you forever? That like people need to hear this. And if you don't have one, it's okay.
Yeah. So. Man, he makes you appreciate the meaning of life even in the silences. So there's just so much meaning to be had, and he just pulls it out in the way that he points you to something kind of beyond the words even. He's in one of his books called Oracles of God, he says that the Hebrew word for word is a real thing. And then he also, there's another word that talks about treasure. And he talks about how our words are real things and they're treasures. They can be treasures. And then he just goes to give treasures with his words. And to help you to see the meaning of life that is even beyond the words, the truth that is greater than what we can even say. So it's really the way he kind of leads you with his writing into seeing something so much more. And I have this memory, and I did an undergrad in history and another undergrad in philosophy and religion. And I was in the philosophy department at ASU, and people are debating truth. We know what is truth, and there's this whole debate. And I remember saying something that I had read from Richard Wurmbrand. Well, actually, several things he said. One was they were all attacking, like there is no truth, da-da-da. And it's like, who are you, Lady Philosophy, to come in and take this from me? Do you love me? Did you give your life for me? Like, who do you have any authority to come in here? So he sort of like just kind of and then it's like, truth is a living person. And it sort of like this depth of like realizing that truth is a living person, which means I had this whole thought process in college about truth being, because truth is a living person, everything is about relationship. And like realizing that like the world that we live in, the scientific world we live in, the natural world, I mean, like all of it, the way we approach science, the way we approach each other is all relational. And that it's the kind of thing I take away from Rich Oren Brand. You know, some of the I don't know, some of the quotes. I can't quote something you said. But that's kind of like a sense of like what I've got from his writings.
I don't blame you. I can't quote what I said yesterday, but that was a really good, an impactful recollection of what you took away from that. So many things stand out to me. I'm just thinking, from your standpoint, you know, you're all about the adventure and the freedom and empowerment, and just you want to go do it. And you know, my standpoint is the idea of doesn't matter who you are or what you grew up like or what your background was. Why not me? You know, it all starts with this idea that failure and trials, they're okay. They're going to help you. And this fella, the author you're talking about, when you were describing his life, I'm thinking, how would I feel? How would I fare if I was in prison for 14 years? I probably wouldn't be the happiest person or the kindest person. The fact that he said this adversity is teaching me something and has given me something, and he walked out of that closer to the truth, writing about it to empower and impact others. That is incredible. Mm-hmm. That is an incredible example of how good adversity and failure can be when you have someone who's ready to grow no matter what, and even be forged by the fire. That's incredible. And I love how you ended with this idea that the way that he outlined truth inspired you to realize that life is about relationships. Because so often, I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up hearing that you gotta make it. You gotta work hard. You gotta do it all by yourself. Especially as a man, don't show your emotions. Don't rely on people. You just gotta be tough. Work harder. If you want it, you gotta earn it. And I think a lot of that is true. But what no one ever told me is that you gotta have a circle. You gotta have support. You gotta have people that inspire you and propel you and push you. Man, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Hey, let me hear this. Some key, like from your youth to college to when you were exploring the truth and figuring out, okay, it's time to do business. What are some life lessons you took away from that time period?
I mean, to what you were saying about the requirement of pick yourself up, you know, face adversity, be tough, and also like have a circle, you know, like the reality is like going into business for me was starting from nothing. So my wife and I were living in, when we first were married, we lived in, we called it the Love Shack. It was 300 square foot, no running water, no electricity.
Wow.
Outdoor and bathroom, tub. It's funny.
In the mountains?
In Boone, yeah, outside of Boone. And
winters were tough, huh?
Yeah. So, but basically, I mean, it was by choice on some level, but at the same time, like, you know, we didn't really have anything. So starting out into business was kind of like from scratch, is what I'm trying to say. We were starting from scratch.
Wow.
I mean, and so the going from one level up into another level is you have to create value. Like that you can't fake it. You know, there's not a shortcut, and like you're going to have to rise to the occasion and create the value. And it's not that you've got to go fight and take it from some other piece of the pie from somebody else. It's like, no, it has to be, you have to create and add value to your world, to the people around you, through your work, whatever. You have to bring it. And so I think that's kind of what my lesson from going into the marketplace is that like we've got to create value.
That's really cool. You know what I love the most about it is that your focus on that started off with, I had to get it. I had to work hard for it. No one started me on this, and I had to work hard and be disciplined. All that Alaska stuff. I had to be responsible for myself and hustle and build that value. But you know what you ended on was how important it was to build values for others. Build value for others. Empower somebody, make someone's life better, more joyful, easier, whatever it may be. That I think that's, in my mind, in my eyes, what sets you apart as a leader, as a man, as a person who constantly says, "Why not me?" As an entrepreneur, as someone who's chasing the heart of God, you don't do it for you. You do it for others, and you do it for God. And I think that right there is the most inspiring part of it. That how I grew up in athletics, and I played a lot of competitive sports, and I always told myself, if my goal is for me, I'm going to fail. If my goal is for something bigger than me, I'll succeed. So I always found a greater thing to commit to. So I always bought into this, we is greater than me, or I'm doing it for you. And what I found was when the going got tough, I wasn't saying it, I deserve this. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go work hard and get up at 5 a.m. to work out, or all the pressure's on my shoulders. I got to compete and perform and do my job perfectly. I was like, no, my team has sacrificed for this. My coach believes in me. My team wants this. This is for us. And that pushed me to go way further. And it's almost like you're saying that. You're like, okay, God, you have this thing that you want me to do for the group, for the greater good, not for me.
Well, and something you said in there was you get to be a part of something greater. So it's like in what you were describing of like the way that you have grown and the way that you have like chosen your focus is empowering you to be a part of something bigger. So you actually get like lifted up as you look and listen and support the people around you. Like it lifts you up as well, So I think that's like there's like that back to that thing I said earlier of truth. The truth is a living person. So like everything's about relationship. And so really, if we're going to reach for greatness, that means we have to get out of ourselves. We have to get into something bigger, because the story is so much bigger than like what I'm doing independently. Like I'm not much of a story, but like I get to be a part of a bigger story,
If you want to be great, you got to be outside of yourself. That is wisdom. That is wisdom. Wow. I'm excited. This is awesome. Thank you so much, man.
So why not me? You're back. Where was this going? Tell me about this year, this upcoming year with podcasting.
Yeah. So okay. I took a hiatus from my podcast. I had a lot of life going on. I was still in the thick of school, but doing school, work changes, family changes, learning how to be a father of 3 kids, trying to be a good husband. And this weird thing happens. The older you get, the less energy you have. Because before I was a little bit younger, I was doing my podcast like 2, 3 in the morning. I just can't do that anymore. It was making me not healthy. So I put the podcast on the back burner for a little bit, but I didn't stop thinking about it. And really, I've spent a lot of time kind of praying through what is why not me, and trying to see what I want to do with it. I had a lot of ideas, but I think I never lost a desire to do this. I've always wanted to do this, and I think what happened was this last year was a year of growth, refinement, and challenging and development for me. So that's kind of where I've been, and it's funny. Thanks to you, we picked it up sooner than I expected. I did not expect to pick up Why Not Me this quick, but man, God is good and you're kind. I think where I've gotten to is I had this idea to start with the podcast. I had this burden that I wanted to share not the good news, but this news, this experience that I've had in life, and some of the weird ways that I approach life, and some of the things I picked up from people like you as I go through life, just to help people navigate life better or more meaningfully, you know. And I think this podcast is a platform for me to flesh out ideas with people like you, you know, about how do we grow? How do we continue to make an impact? What does being a man in your 30s with 3 kids look like? For me, how does it look like for you? And what does being like a leader look like, a community leader look like for you, you know, things like that. Because that stuff, when we get down to the bottom of it, you figure out that greatness means you're going to be selfless, means you're going to be bought into something greater than you, bigger than you, and you're going to let go of your selfish desires. It's relational. Trial and adversity is good for you. Like that stuff comes out, you know? So while we're here now is to continue to push that. The motivation that, hey, you can do whatever you want. You can make a difference. You can make an impact. And I think the biggest thing I've learned in this hiatus and what really is going to root and be the foundation for the rest of the Why Not Me journey is that greatness, impact, dreams is not about money. It's not about what we see in glamour and cars. It's about making a difference, adding value, like you said, adding value, and making an impact and leaving the place, whatever place, better than you found it. So that is what we're back here doing. That is what I've learned about myself, about Why Not Me. Why Not Me started as a pet hobby. You know, I had these ideas I had written down. I want to get them out and share them. And now I've realized that this is my platform to hopefully motivate and inspire people to say, listen, I want to be great. And greatness is not just my bank account. It is about the value I add to my community, to my space, and what I can do to make this place that I'm in better than what I found it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where you take it and what happens with it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Now, for our friends listening, we got a lot of things coming, Josiah and I do. We've been hard at work, praying and thinking through what's going next, and I'm excited for you to hear more of what you got. So we're going to do a series with Josiah and I to really dig into where we're going next and where we're feeling led to be, and we'll say the realization of Why Not Me, and also of these incredible things Josiah has been thinking about and what he's got going on. So stay tuned for the coming episodes for you to learn more about exactly what we're talking about in the most cryptic way.
And now you're set. You got video too. This is new, right?
Yeah.
So we're adding video to the Why Not Me.
Video, setup, sound, incredible guest. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I'll keep doing my solo individual talks, what I call my TED Talks. But I think part of what's been incredible in this development is the desire to highlight people who are in their own language, their own way, living out the Why Not Me journey. The journey of saying, you know what, I got this burden on my heart. Let's just go for it. And that's you. You're the example of that. So thanks for your time, man.
Awesome.
Anything else you want to leave with the people?
Oh, man. Nothing's coming to mind.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Check out the next episode coming soon.
Oh, man.
All platforms. Like, share, subscribe, all the above. We'll be on YouTube as well. Check it out. Thank you for your time.
Peace.
Peace.